Echoes in the moonlight! With growing hopes for Season 7 of the Clone Wars, the second episode does not disappoint. Dispatched on a daring mission to investigate a mysterious signal revealing that Clone Trooper Echo is still alive, Clone Squad 99, along with General Skywalker and Commander Rex, make a daring attempt to discover the truth about Echo's mysterious signal. In a magnificent move that tugs on the heartstrings of Clone Wars fans, the second episode of Season 7 not only delivers on its promise to stick true to the Clone Wars, but leaves everyone wanting more.
All right, everybody, welcome to episode 5 of The Chosen Ones. I am your host, as always, Jason, and joined by my co-host, Leo.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
And Captain.
What up?
All right, so we got episode 2 of the Clone Wars Season 7 just this past Friday. The episode was titled A Distant Echo. Obviously, just when we learned a couple days before the release of the episode of the title being A Distant Echo, and of course of the early animation episodes that we got a couple years ago, everybody kind of knew where this was going. So we're just going to start off by giving our first impressions of the episode. So Leo, why don't you just talk about your first impressions of what we saw in this episode?
Well, like you brought up earlier, we saw that like prototype thing where this was gonna go with Echo being in the kind of half cyborgish, kind of being mind controlled. For those of you
The little Palpatine machine thing.
Yeah, for those of you who have played video games, right? I hope some of you have. Excuse me. Reminded me of kind of like the cyborgs in Deus Ex: Human Revolution, like that mind control thingy that's going on. I like the indigenous people of the planet. What were they called again? Do you guys remember it all?
No, they'll
I don't
most likely
remember.
just be called what the planet's called, but with ins on the end of it.
Yeah, and I can't remember here. While you talking, I'll look up the planet name.
Yeah, so those dudes I think were pretty interesting. At first, I thought they were not going to be able to like communicate at all, and I'm like, okay, what's going to go down here? Like, are they going to use like Jedi like mind communication or something? But then one of the Bad Batch, just like the techie guy, he has like this whole like universal translator going on, and I was impressed he was able to speak the language.
I thought that was very, very cool. And then with the Arabesh kind of up on the screen, that was pretty cool.
I thought it was just going to be like a Google Siri assistant voice translator thing, right? Like a little robotic voice. I didn't expect him to actually read it out, And then near the beginning too, when Anakin gets taken away by the flying like lizards, they grapple onto it. I think it was the Rambo clone, right, that went for him.
Yeah, Hunter.
Yeah, Hunter went for him, and I was like, holy crap, it's badass. Like, dangerous, but hey, they're the Bad Batch, right? They're sent on the suicide missions for a reason. They go in deep. And when they found so like my question is to you guys is when they were in that like tower, right? You guys saw those battle droids, right?
Yeah.
Why were there
weird little attachments on the top of them? They were
with that.
I think they were like service droids that also had blasters.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, kind of like different
hands.
Yeah, different like variants, because obviously like throughout the Clone Wars and in the prequels we saw like many different variants of clones. I mean, not clones of droid, well, clones too, clones and droids. But yeah, this episode was really the first time that we saw anything near like that type of design. Also, but actually, before I start talking, Captain, why don't you give your first impressions on the episode? Some of the stuff that you liked.
I really liked it, and I liked the fact that not a lot of people pick up on this anymore because it's not in TV that much anymore. But every time we were in Wat Tambor's weird lab with like the Tesla coils, we got a Dutch angle. Now, if you don't know what a Dutch angle is a camera, is a tilt on the camera that was used a lot in the early 60s Batman to show a funky angle. And they did that every time we were in Wat Tambor's thing, and I loved it because we've had it in previous episodes of the Clone Wars with like Darth Maul popping up or something evil happening with Dooku. and I like the fact they stuck to it. And the entire episode was just good from start to finish. There was absolutely no bad points that I could even come up with, to the point where, like, even when they were talking in that weird funky language, and I thought, someone's got to speak. It's a Jedi. Maybe they speak the language of these people from this planet. Nah, they didn't do that. And then Tech coming out with his little thing, like Leo said, that was pretty awesome. I did like that as well. Hunter was I don't know. It felt like Hunter had changed a little bit.
Yeah, he was a lot less reserved in this episode. Yeah, he was a lot less reserved.
In the other one, he was kind of like, I don't know. And then now, after like one mission, he's like, dude, me and Rex are buddies. And
yeah,
I did like the thing that, we still had a little bit of the whole Regs and Bad Batch.
Yeah, I did like that little fight scene. Yeah, the little argument. And then when Anakin came in and, calmed everybody down, I did like that.
Anakin was just like, mate, we're on the same side.
Yeah. I'm gonna kind of go a little bit chronologically through it. So first off, I love the whole opening scene with Rex and Anakin, and I think it really just showed. I mean, obviously we've got in the previous 6 seasons and now in season 7, we know of the really close dynamic and really close relationship between Anakin and Rex. But I think this episode really highlighted that and show like how much on a personal level they are with each other, which is then of course all going to come crashing down at some point this season once Anakin turns to the dark side. And obviously we see how Rex escapes Order 66 and whatnot. But the whole beginning scene with, then Anakin, taking the, the hologram device from Rex's helmet and going into the barracks and then talking to Padme. I love that little scene between Padme and Anakin. And obviously you could see Padme holding her chest, as obviously she looks a lot more pregnant now than she did in any of the other Clone Wars. So there, we got a little Luke and Leia in there. And then Ewan McGregor is amazing. Alec Guinness is amazing. But I mean, James Arnold Taylor just does not get as much credit as he deserves for his job as Obi-Wan. And it's like every single thing that Obi-Wan says throughout the entire Clone Wars with James Arnold Taylor's just amazing voice acting, it just all sounds so snarky and sarcastic. And I just absolutely love it because that's what prequel Obi-Wan is. I mean, prequel Obi-Wan is just, Ewan McGregor, just that Ewan McGregor charm. And then James Arnold Taylor just kind of like mimics that with how he voice acts Obi-Wan throughout the whole Clone Wars. And in this episode, we didn't get a lot of him, but in the beginning of the episode, you just get that sarcasm immediately when he says to Anakin, I hope you told Padme that I said hello. Because obviously we know Obi-Wan knows a lot more about Anakin and his personal life than Anakin thinks that he knows. And obviously we can see that from being, kind of third person perspectives throughout this whole thing. Not, the characters in the show don't know it. Anakin doesn't know how much Obi-Wan knows, but obviously we as viewers have known how much Obi-Wan knows about Anakin's, life with Padme since the beginning of the Clone Wars. And I love the, the little Rex, Obi-Wan, Anakin dynamic. And then just this episode, even more so than the first episode, in my opinion, was just complete pure action. There was you could see the complete improvement of the animation style and of the animation technology, especially in that final fight scene, right when they get into when they're trying to get into Echo. And I'm not sure, I don't remember the guy's name, but it was the same guy. I think we were actually talking about him either last week. The guy with the robotic thing that you see in the prequels when he presses the button and then his robotic voice starts talking. Him and some of the other members of the same species of whatnot of the Trade Federation. When he, sent in all those droids after he came up and appeared on the holocrons, that action scene was just amazing with kind of the still camera, almost like a drone kind of searching around the whole scene. And it almost like it went up to each individual clone and Anakin and gave them their own little montage of killing 2 or 3 droids. Then it went to the next one. Then it went to the next one, but all in one still shot, literally like a drone kind of just backing up and taking in the entire scene, and then with Crosshair kind of coming in and just sniping the droids from out while he's sliding on the ground. It was just so badass. And then having, then when Rex and Tech go in and, they finally find Echo and you just see the pure raw emotion on Rex's face and in his body language and everything. When he sees Echo and Echo kind of falls into his arms. And it just makes you so excited for the next episode and to see where they're going to go with, bringing Echo back and, in what form. We don't know if he's going to be in his full capacity because, coming out of that coming out of the I don't know what the chamber, whatever you would call it, coming out of that little chamber. Obviously, he does not look too well. And I'm sure the beginning of the next episode is probably going to be them escaping with him and making it back to Coruscant safely, hopefully. And but it's amazing, and it's just one of the greatest things about this show, how much like we can connect with Rex and the emotion of these animated characters in all of these scenes, because obviously in the real movies you have real people with real emotion, real acting, not to say that the voice actors don't do real acting, but real on-screen acting. And throughout the entire history of movies dating all the way back to the first ever motion picture, the viewers, the audience members always have personal and emotional attachments to the characters and the events going on in the movies. Even though it's not real, even though it's fake and on a movie screen, you still almost feel like it's real and have real emotions. And the fact that Dave Filoni and all the creators and the animators and every single person at Lucasfilm who works on the Clone Wars, the fact that they can get those same emotions out of us, the viewers, the fans, the audience, as they would on a real live action movie, just by literally animation, is just amazing. And I mean, I loved, everything about Rex that happened in this episode. You kind of gives him the arc that he always deserved. And I feel like from the first 2 episodes that we've got, it seems like that Dave Filoni's real intention going into season 7 back a couple years ago when they initially were making it, we have those early animation episodes of it. I think one of his main focal points was that Rex, we all know that Ahsoka is his, he says is his character, but he's built up Rex because, we didn't get any of Rex in the real prequel trilogy, but we get so much of him in the Clone Wars, and we're so attached to him that Dave Filoni kind of set out, it looks like, in this season 7 to kind of build a little bit more of a character arc and develop his character more than we really ever got to see in the beginning of the series, of the first 6 seasons. And so I really like the direction that they're going with Rex and the clones, and then introducing the Bad Batch kind of is a good catalyst for that and building up the dynamic and the relationship of the clones. And somewhere within the next few episodes we're gonna get into the Ahsoka arc, and I can't wait to see that as well. So before we move on to the preview of next week's episode, is there any other things you guys want to touch on?
Yes. Okay, real quick. The guy you were having trouble remembering, that guy with the Techno Union thing, his name is Wat Tambor.
Okay, yeah, no, I do. Just so you know. Because I remember hearing the name in the episode, and
yeah. Also, there is one thing that we didn't pick up on, and that is how fast Hunter can move. Because in the episode, when all those droids start coming in, and like you've got 2 people on one side, 2 people on the other, and then Anakin and Rex coming from behind, Hunter moves at the speed of light. I swear to God, it was the funniest thing ever. He had a knife, and he just disappears into the ether, and I'm like, what? How fast can this guy move? And
even Crosshair moves pretty quick, because when we saw that montage that I was just talking about, that montage of him, and he's just sprinting around and sliding on the ground and just sniping all these droids in the face. The Bad Batch is just completely epic.
What I hope for is that Echo becomes like a modified robotic ARC trooper again. I hope he gets
that would be pretty sick. He could be a part of the Bad Batch, because who knows, maybe now he has genetic deformities or something, from him being in that chamber. Because I'm not sure if either of you guys know this, but do we know because I guess that was a stupid question, because the timeline of the Clone Wars is obviously all convoluted, because the episodes don't really take place exactly in chronological order. So we have no idea where, like, how long Echo has been gone, right?
I think it's been a year.
It's only been a year?
That's what I think.
Okay.
Because
that was about
reference to Citadel
3. Yeah, they do. Yeah, so it was about season 3. So then,
but it's like it hasn't been long enough that Rex has like moved on fully, because he's like, as soon as he like he mentions, he never ever got
he never got over
attached to like people
and other clones, but this
death. But then when he heard Echo, when he heard Echo over the thing, he was like, man, Echo's still alive. Maybe there's some hope out there for this war. So that was pretty cool. But I think it's roughly been like a year
because they're still doing the campaign, and Ahsoka's been gone for a bit. It might not be well if you think about it. The Citadel happened. Ahsoka was still a teenager, wasn't she? She still had like a weird crop top on.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was the season after that where she was now like 18 or whatever. And then the season after that, she gets kicked out of the Jedi Temple, I think, or just leaves. Hey, maybe
the end of season 5 was the end of season 5 was when
so
she got
it
kicked.
might have been 2 years, but I mean, it's long enough that Rex is
it's
still
long enough.
sad.
Yeah.
But it's not like too long to the point where it's like, how can this be? You know?
Yeah. So Leo, is there anything else you want to touch on before we move on?
Yeah, you guys remember the part where they were in the big tower looking for Echo, and Anakin's like, yeah, go split up, guys. Whoever finds him first, go call us or whatever, because like he lost signal. He goes into that little hallway, and those two like funky, like droids.
Oh, the funky droids.
And I'm just like, dude, I don't know what type of. I mean, obviously it's not the smartest droid out there, but like they have him cornered from both angles. I'm like, you can only really deflect blaster bolts from one side. I'm like.
Well, did you also notice that
he does the little Jedi, the prequel Jedi over the head trick, where magically they just know exactly when the bullet's going to reach them. Being shot at from point blank 5 feet away, and they just stick the lightsaber back there at the exact moment.
That was my problem with that episode.
Yeah, the one thing I noticed as well was no matter how many droids were shooting at anybody, none of them shot at them.
Yeah, like it was almost like stormtrooper aim.
Yeah, kind of. It was pretty funny. It was like when they infiltrated on the first episode when they infiltrated the little signal beacon. Wrecker or whatever his name was, the big guy was just
the big guy Wrecker
in the open.
Yeah,
and droids were shooting right at him, but the bullets were like curving around him.
Yeah, it's very because. The thing with the stormtroopers is obviously the excuse for this why the stormtroopers are so bad at aiming, even though Obi-Wan says only stormtroopers can be supersized. But the excuse for why they're so bad at aiming is, of course, obviously human error, and them being humans in those incredibly uncomfortable and weird helmets and uniforms. But the thing with the droids is that they should be programmed to be incredibly like perfect and precise. And even you see in the Mandalorian, those kind of Republic droids. I mean, those droids, those are badass droids. Those aren't the little Roger droids that we have in the prequels and in the Clone Wars. I mean, those are badass droids who like, Mando has to like actually fight, not like Anakin where he literally just sticks one lightsaber swing through them, cuts him in half, and then just magically puts his lightsaber behind his back, and then the bullet deflects off, the blaster fire deflects off of his lightsaber and straight back into the droid. I mean, those are like, and another thing is that just because we're on the topic of the droids, I mean, throughout the prequels and then throughout the Clone Wars, we see like how just complete like crappy fighters these droids are. They just really don't look like menacing or intimidating at all. But then you look at like the Mandalorian in that cutscene where the super battle droids are just completely obliterating his home village. I mean, those are like the badass droids that I wish we would get at some point during this Clone Wars season. And who knows when we get to Order 66 and we kind of see the last of the droid army, maybe there'll be some like big epic fight scene or whatever where we'll finally actually get to see like droids doing real damage. Because even throughout the whole entire series, we don't really see that many clones die like up close in combat. I mean, probably 10 times the amount of droids die as the amount of clones, obviously, because the clones are just much more skilled fighters. And when you have the Jedi behind you who can, magically stick their lightsaber anywhere and deflect blaster fire, it obviously helps the clone army. But when Anakin, that scene was a little weird when Anakin kind of just walked in there and he's completely cornered, and then he magically makes it out alive. But and then also, if I'm not mistaken, I can't remember which one it was. I think it was Hunter, who doesn't like Hunter save him at the end of that scene because he shoots down the droid, and then when the droid falls down, you see
it's the sharpshooter. He goes off with the sharpshooter guy.
Oh, it was Crosshair. Okay, yeah. So then when Crosshair when the droid falls down, and then Anakin and Crosshair kind of look at each other, and that's really just kind of bringing the two, the Bad Batch, and then the regular, because Anakin's the leader of a legion of regular clones. That's kind of another way of kind of bringing them together. And then throughout the rest of the episode, really after that little fight between Wrecker and Rex, Let's say that 10 times fast. That little fight between Wrecker and Rex, throughout the whole rest of the episode and probably going forward. I mean, the regulars, this group of regulars at least, and then now with Rex and Echo and Anakin, and then combined with the Bad Batch, there'll be a lot more unity between them, and there won't be as much of a divide because, like Anakin said, and like we said last week, they're all fighting for the same cause. So there's no real reason to fight between them. So those are our thoughts on episode 2, A Distant Echo. So, in the comments down below, why don't you guys leave us your thoughts on the episode and what you liked about it, what you didn't like about it. I mean, there shouldn't really be much that you didn't like about it, but feel free to voice your opinion down and criticize our opinion, because that's just what you guys do on YouTube, right?
That's what it's about.
Yeah. So, all right. So now we're just going to quickly talk about a little preview of this Friday's episode 3. So why don't we start with Leo? Leo, what are you looking forward to in this episode? Where do you think they're going to go next?
What I'm looking forward to in this next episode is them getting the hell out of there with Echo.
Yeah.
And from there, I don't know. That's just what I'm looking forward to seeing happening. It's just them getting out of there. Maybe someone gets hurt, although by the way these droids shoot, I really freaking doubt it, like, they're missing I honestly was. I mean, in this past episode, on episode 2, I was waiting for somebody to get shot. Mm-hmm.
Because in that scene, it felt like somebody was just gonna get hit, and even it could have been somebody like Wrecker who could have just gotten hit in the shoulder, but with all that big armor,
it's not gonna
then he could have just went like ballistic and berserk, and then just started picking up even more of them and just completely destroying them. That would have been interesting, but who knows? Maybe we will get somebody shot in this upcoming episode. But so they're. I'm wondering, and Captain, I don't know if you want to talk about this a little bit, but if this next episode starts off with the first half, obviously them escaping and bringing back Echo, and then maybe the second half we get some sort of the beginning of the arc with Ahsoka exploring the underworld of Coruscant. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that might sound a little crazy, but if you guys have anything to say about that, I think that'd be cool if the next episode was kind of split into 2, and we started with them bringing Echo back, and then right in the middle of the episode, then kind of go into the start developing the Ahsoka arc, because we were saying the past couple of weeks, and I apologize for giving you guys false information. There's actually 12 episodes in this season. I kept saying 15, so there's actually 12 episodes. Yeah, it's fake news. So there's actually 12 episodes. So we have less room to work with than we thought, because I mean, let's just say episode 3 is all the Echo arc, and them just the whole thing is them escaping. Then that means that we only have episodes 4 through 12 to develop the Ahsoka arc and have her come back to the Order. And we're talking about 20-minute episodes, excluding the last finale, which will probably be 45 minutes to an hour. So Captain, is there anything that you're looking forward to for next week?
The only thing I'm really looking forward to for next week is seeing how they get off the planet, because the next episode is called, I believe, on the wings of Kira Dax.
Yeah, on the wings of Kira Dax.
Something like that.
Yeah, I just looked it up actually.
So I'm hoping to see maybe like they have to ride the birds, the weird reptilian birds.
That would be pretty cool.
But what I really want to see,
birds from Avatar a little bit.
Yeah, it did. What I really want to see is I want to see Echo pick up a blaster and get back in the fight. That's the only thing I want to see right now.
I don't know if he's in, if he has the capability to do that at this moment, but that would be pretty cool.
No, I think like at one point, because at the minute he's a bit loopy and stuff. He's like, Rex, she came back from me and stuff.
Yeah, but he does like return to like reality.
Yeah, but he's not fully there yet. So what I want to see is like maybe they get pinned down or something by a lot of droids.
Yeah,
and then,
then he does something.
His like training kicks in again because he was an ARC trooper. So like that kicks in, and he just like gets one of Rex's pistols and just like starts shooting everything. Yeah. That'd be well cool.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
I don't know the specifics of this, but since he was in cryostasis, right, in that little pod, does that mean there is no muscle atrophy on his body, or do you still
most likely?
Okay.
Well, what in most of his body's now robotic, isn't it?
Yeah, like the lower half is just prosthetics, essentially.
Yeah, like right above his heart, he had something attached to his heart. I'm like little, like almost like Tony Stark and Iron Man.
Yeah, so it would be nice to see Echo pick up his gun again and get back into it. Overall, I want Echo back. Echo was really great. It was a shame that we lost so many. Like we've lost Fives and we've lost, Wrecker, not Wrecker, Heavy. It's a shame that we've lost all these good people, but we got Echo back, and I want him to stay. I don't want Echo to go. Echo must stay.
To bring him back and have him not like be in fighting shape would be a little bit of a that'd be a little bit of a letdown.
Even if they skip him for an episode and then like they jump ahead a little bit and he comes back in his gear again, that would be great.
Or even if he has like some sort of like robotic, like extra robotic attachments to kind of keep him alive. Like maybe we don't get to see him take his helmet off anymore. He needs to keep the clone helmet on, or maybe even if he has some like different variation of the clone armor unique to him in order like a breathing apparatus or something, in order to keep himself alive. Similar to like we see some with the members with the Bad Batch, how they have their own, clone armor that's not just like all the other legions. So it just giving him something like that would be, that would be pretty good. And, that would keep him alive and give us the Echo that we've been wanting to see and that we're happy
I think making him part of the Bad Batch would probably be a good way to go, because he's no longer like a regular clone, because he's got all those
and we don't know
parts still.
we don't know what the Separatists did to him because they could have messed with that chip in his brain, and he could be incredibly intelligent like Tech now. Because he was examining, obviously, because they took the information from him, he was able to examine and report to the Separatists through that apparatus, whatever he was connected to, that chamber. He was able to report to them all of the battle plans that the clones were going to execute. Now, he probably has some sort of Separatist data in his head too. So he could literally, if the Separatist input and whatever that apparatus into his chip in his brain, their battle plan and information, because that would help him be able to, counter, because he obviously needs to know the Separatist battle information in order to use the clone battle information to counter each other and to stop them. So his battle plans and his defense plans that he has in that inhibitor chip, he could probably use that to help the Republic against the Separatists. And so we could see, almost a spin of what the Separatists did, and the Republic could just, bring the favor right back to the Separatists. So that'd be a cool way to go, is if he is part of the Bad Batch, just like you were saying. And so before we move into the next topic, is there just anything else that you guys want to touch on about the Clone Wars season 7?
No, I'm pretty good.
Leo, you good?
I'm good.
All right. So we're going to wrap up this episode by talking about a very big reveal that Disney just revealed to us. It was leaks came out a couple months ago, as leaks have been doing for a few years now with Star Wars. Seems like everything gets leaked at this point. Of the new Star Wars trilogy taking place in this era called the High Republic era, which wasn't really the Old Republic that we know and love from the video games and Legends books, but the High Republic era. And it was said that it takes place 450 years before the events of the prequel trilogy and the original trilogy, all those events, which is weird. I don't know why they wouldn't have just gone with 500 years, but whatever. 450 years. And there was also, since about 2018, we've heard of this term Project Luminous, which was a bunch of, which the only thing Disney told us about this was that it was a bunch of writers who have all written Star Wars books kind of coming together to create this like new, they really were very vague, but now that we know it's a new series of books and a new era in Star Wars that they all designed together and are bringing us a whole new wave of content revolving around this new era. So it was revealed by Disney. They announced it. They announced some of the names of books. They showed trailers. The trailer was really, I know both of you guys watched it. I don't know if any of the viewers, if you guys watched it, the trailer really was just like snippets of interviews with each of the writers. It showed how they all met kind of like in summits at Skywalker Ranch, and they were all around one big table with a whiteboard, and they were discussing all their ideas. And this is something really unique that Disney and Lucasfilm did with bringing all of the writers of Star Wars novels together to create one big new era. And so the leaks and the rumors were that this new era of Star Wars was going to be for the new trilogy. All that Disney announced was that this High Republic era is just for all the books and comics and just a whole new wave of content that's going to be added into the Star Wars canon that takes place 450 years before the events of the prequel trilogy. Now, they have not said anything about if the movies will take place in this era, but I'm going to go out on a limb and just say, and you guys will probably agree, that because of the leaks that we got, that the movies were taking place in there, and basically that this announcement is the exact same thing as those leaks, I have a feeling that the upcoming trilogy is going to be in the High Republic era. And then we, will probably these books so far, they haven't touched on anything. They did not use the words Sith, dark side, nothing. All we know is that the Jedi are at the height of their power. The Republic is the strongest it has ever been. Well, the strongest it has been to that point and afterwards, because it kind of goes downhill, all the way up until Palpatine. But so it's the strongest the Republic and the Jedi Order have ever been. So obviously there's going to be Sith somewhere in this era, because you don't have an era of Jedi without Sith, because the Force always needs balance. Where there is light, there is dark. So the rule of 2 of Darth Bane was already established for this era, which is something that we got in the leaks that we discussed a little bit about in our second episode of the Chosen Ones, I believe. And or the third episode. So basically this High Republic era, all that we've gotten so far is the names of a few books and comics. So I'm just going to quickly go through and read them, and then you guys will give your, I'll ask you guys to give your thoughts on the era as a whole and what they talked about. So the titles, these first couple names I'm going to read off are books. Into the Dark by Claudia Gray. That's the main book that they're pushing so far. Claudia Gray, I've only read one of her books. I know she wrote Lost Stars and Bloodline. I read Bloodline, which was about Leia in between The Force Awakens and the end of Return of the Jedi. And it's mainly about the politics of the New Republic. That was a very, very good book. A lot of people say that she is the best author writing for Star Wars at the moment. I happen to believe it's James Luceno, who wrote the Darth Plagueis novel that I'm actually almost done with right now. But a lot of people, Claudia Gray is a great author. She's done a lot of good things for Star Wars and the Star Wars canon books. Then the next one is A Test of Courage by Justina Ireland. This is a book that, from the cover art, seems to be about younglings and Padawans working together, and it also is directed towards a younger audience. It says that it's really for like middle school kids to read, so that's not going to really be a young adult novel or an adult novel like most of the Star Wars canon books are. So they're just appealing to the younger audience by that. And talking about younglings, obviously there's no Anakin to slaughter them, so we'll get to see younglings alive. Then we have Star Wars: The High Republic Adventures, which is a comic series that's designed and written by Daniel Jose Older. The name doesn't sound familiar. I'm not sure if he's done anything for Star Wars before this. This one is not going to be published by Marvel. It's going to be published by IDW Publishing Company. And it's going to be a comic series. I'm not sure how long it's going to be. We just got the cover art of the first volume. Then we have another comic, Star Wars: The High Republic by Cavan Scott. That's a Marvel comic book series. We know Marvel and Star Wars have made some pretty awesome comics, basically ever since the beginning of Star Wars. And their canon comics over the past couple years have been very, very good. There's Darth Vader comics. I know there's a Kylo Ren comic out right now that's apparently really, really good. I personally have never read any of the comics, but I'd like to get my hand on some of them in the near future. This Star Wars: The High Republic Marvel comic series is probably going to be pretty good, just like all the recent Marvel comic book series. So, we'll be getting that soon. Then we have Star Wars: The High Republic Light of the Jedi, which is another novel by Charles Soule. Judging by the title, it's probably going to be there's probably going to be a few sequels to this, because the title is Star Wars: The High Republic: Light of the Jedi, meaning that it seems like it's the first book in, I don't know if it'll be a trilogy or if they'll make 2 or 4 books in a series just dubbed the Star Wars: The High Republic. So those are the only books that we've gotten or comics that we've gotten. The only real canonized content that's been announced about this era so far. This stuff is scheduled to be released around mid-2020, I believe. I know the first novel, I think, is coming out in June 2020. So I'm probably I think it's the Claudia Gray one, so I will probably pre-order that and pick that up when it comes out. But so I just talked a lot about my opinions on it and whatnot. So why don't we'll start with Leo. Why don't you give some of your opinions on the High Republic era?
Yeah, so starting off with what you said about having the Sith in there, I didn't see anything regarding them specifically in the video for the promotion they were doing, but they do have this like new like kind of like nomadic traveler tribe that's going to be supposedly the
Oh, I
main.
did. Yeah, that I think that's what the Star Wars, the High Republic, the Marvel comic book series. I think the cover art is those guys that you were just talking about, because that's what they say is kind of the villains of this era so
Yeah.
far. Because they're not going to reveal which Sith are going to be there right now, because that'll kind of take the surprise out of it. But I'm sure it'll get leaked in a few months on Reddit or whatever. But yeah, that is the villainous group that they are talking about, kind of like a ravage group of like smugglers and whatnot. Their designs, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Leo. I just want to like make this point. The designs kind of resemble Enfys Nest from the Solo movie, just like off of first glance of me looking at the cover art. But yeah, I just wanted to say that quickly. So continue.
Yeah, no problem. Also, they're like writing on a whiteboard, right? And I don't know if you guys saw this, but they have some. They have like Star Wars, but with no war. And I'm just like, Star Wars with no war. Interesting. How you're gonna approach that, right? Since there's always been war.
That is, yeah, because it's gonna, yeah, that's an interesting point. Yeah, because they said this is really an era of peace, which obviously we're gonna be seeing some Sith in here, but like Yoda has said, the Sith have been, they haven't really seen the Sith for 1,000 years. There hasn't really been any real, close like contact. Like obviously they know, and the Jedi have felt their presence throughout, those 1,000 years between the Great War and then the beginning of the prequel trilogy when Maul and Sidious reveal themselves. But we doesn't seem like there can be really any direct contact or confrontation between the Jedi and the Sith, unless whatever Jedi meets that Sith, they're going to have to die, because then, they're just going to be killed so that the rest of the Jedi Order, because otherwise they would know that information. But yeah, so you want to continue your point?
Yeah, so wait, where was I? The Sith.
The Star War without war.
Oh yeah, that thing. Obviously there's got to be some more in it. I mean, it'd be pretty boring if it was just peace all the time. I mean, yeah, peace is cool, I guess, but I want to see some war in my movies and my media. And also, they wrote down dinosaurs on the whiteboard, which I'm at a loss for words there. Like dinosaurs, I don't.
Yeah, space dinosaurs would be pretty cool. I mean, we got the space whales in season 3 or season 4 of Rebels, so it would be pretty cool if we got some space dinosaurs too.
Yeah, but like as an idea, we already have creatures in Star Wars, so it's like just I don't really think that should be like a new main focus, like a new like banging idea, right? Like yeah, like the no wars in Star Wars seems to be more of a newer, fresher idea, I guess you could say. But just having dinosaurs written on there is like kind of low effort in my eyes.
Yeah.
And that's about it. That's all I have to say. Beardy, you want to go next?
Yeah, I know absolutely nothing about any of this.
Well, there you go.
Did you look at the trailer?
Nope, didn't even know there was a trailer.
Did you? Well, you heard about the leaks, because I think we probably talked about them one of the other episodes.
We talked about the leaks last time, but I was just like, right, okay.
Well, now here they are. So yeah, I mean, if you don't really have anything else to say on it, I'll just give one final opinion. I mean, I think this is going to be a really cool direction for Star Wars, kind of going into this giving us like a brand new era, because in canonized Star Wars, all we've gotten is we have not gotten anything that takes place after the sequel trilogy, and we haven't gotten anything that takes place before the prequel trilogy, because the only like book that I can remember being written in the last decade that takes place like a significant amount before the prequel trilogy is the Darth Plagueis novel that I'm reading right now, which starts off like 60 years before the Battle of Yavin, and then that's not even canon anymore. So of the canon books, everything has taken place in between movies, either in between 1 and 2, or in between 2 and 3, or in between 3 and 4. Obviously, we have that big gap, and then in between all the movies and in between all the 3 eras of Star Wars. So it's going to be very interesting, and with the group of authors that they have making these books, I have a feeling these books are going to be very, very good with this talented group of good Star Wars authors. I'm just really excited for the Claudia Gray novel, and like I said, I'm definitely gonna have to pre-order that and get my hands on it right when it comes out. And I think this era has a lot of potential, and I certainly think it has a lot of potential to go into Disney Plus series and into as a movie trilogy. And Disney announced that they were doing this Project Luminous thing, about back in 2018, And the main motivation was probably money, because think of all the money they're going to make off making an entire new era of Star Wars with all new characters. So we'll see how successful it turns out for them. I have a feeling it's going to be pretty good and pretty, it's been widely accepted among the Star Wars fandom, the Star Wars community so far. So, we'll see how that goes. And so thank you guys for tuning in to episode 5. We hope you enjoyed the episode. And we look forward to talking to you guys next Monday. Well, when we will be reviewing episode 3, which we believe is called, what is it, Captain? Wings of
the either Herobax or Kirabax.
I think it's Kiradax. Kiradax? Yeah, I think it's Kiradax. Let's just say...
Shout out Wings of Redemption real quick.
Let's just say Wings of the Kiradax. We'll go with that. So we will be reviewing episode 3, Wings of the Kiradax, next Monday for you guys. We hope you enjoyed today's episode of The Chosen Ones. We hope you enjoyed episode 2 of Clone Wars Season 7. Tell us down in the comments below what you thought of today's episode, and also what you think of all the all the new High Republic era news, and what you thought of episode 2 of the Clone Wars. Do you like the season so far? And what you guys hope to see this coming Friday in episode 3. And so we'll see you guys next Monday. And thanks for tuning in.
Goodbye, everybody.